hack. This in itself was a hackathon project that I kind of finished about 10 minutes ago, so I haven't even practiced it, so this is going to go really well. But basically, I've just thrown a whole lot of things on slides that I think you might find useful from the 10 hacks I've done last year. So the first one is, don't hack at all, which might sound really stupid, but you can fake your whole project probably in about 20 minutes if you use either pen or paper or an app like Sketch. I see a lot of MacBooks around, so you'll have no problem. You can get it for free for 100 days. The free trial. I'm going to show you how that looks right now. So this is a 3-page application that I built in Sketch in 10 minutes. Right? All I've done is create an artboard. I'll show you how simple that is. I've created an artboard. I've said it's mobile. I can whack it here. I can put a background color on it. And then I can add some text or whatever I want, a button, and I link up the pages. And then in about 10 minutes, we've already got some kind of weather app that we can demo. Right? So this is really useful because you might be like, oh, I don't know if my idea is even going to work. So why should I waste 24 hours building it when I can do it in 10? Just check the idea is solid. And one of the ways you can do that is through testing. And we do this at Amex all the time. So this is one of the coolest things I get to do. So we put a card member on the other side of the wall. It's one-way mirrored glass, like the CSI shows. We have 2 screens where we can see their face on one and the app that we built in Sketch or an equivalent tool on the other side. And we just test their reactions. Right? At this point, we haven't coded anything. We just want to know whether the idea we're showing off works. And it can be really funny because you can be sitting here and the information they're looking for is down the page and they're saying, like, I can't find what I want, and you're there screaming on the other side of the soundproofed wall, scroll down the page, scroll down the page. So it's really good fun. Obviously, you can't do that. So what I would suggest you do is guerrilla testing. This is where you will go and find someone else at the hack, maybe one of the sponsors, and you'll say, hey, I have this tiny little prototype, could you have a go? Right? There is no harm in getting user feedback, and when it comes to your presentation, if you can say, well, I tested this with 20 people, and they said this, and so we did this. If you can make an iterative prototype as you go, it's going to be profoundly better. And if you can't demo it well at this point, don't build it. Yeah? Also, if you can't demo it at the end, don't build it either. So you've tested it. It's all good. We're going to build it. Okay, first thing, don't be afraid to ask for help. The amount of times people have sat there with questions and not gone after mentors. They have a brilliant thing at IC where you can go to the hub and ask for a mentor, and there's like 13 of us on there currently waiting in an empty queue that's been empty the whole day. Also, as you know, all the sponsors have put up what they're good at. Go and find them. I would really advise you do stand-ups. Is anyone familiar with Agile in this room? Cool. Okay, Agile is some really annoying big process that companies do to try and make themselves better. I'm not going to teach you about it now, but I think that stand-ups are a really cool part of that. At work, we have a stand-up every day, right? In the morning at 10 a.m., we'll all get up and we'll say, this is what I worked on yesterday, this is what I worked on today. Obviously, you're at a hack, you're only here 2 days, do it every hour, right? Get your whole team together, get stood up so you're not falling asleep, right? Say, look, I did this last hour, I'm struggling with this. Maybe one member of your team can suddenly switch task at that point and go, maybe we need to refocus a bit, maybe we need to refine this a bit. Checking in with your team every hour is really good, especially for those people who are more quiet in those teams who don't normally get a chance to say anything. Focus on the core product. I was at a hackathon about 6 months ago where the team that were building their project focused so long on the login screen for their app that they actually didn't finish their core application. I don't care if your login works. I'm not going to check that it validates that my password. I don't care if my password's not even a password field, right? Hello. Yes, go for it.
What if you're making a two-sided app and then you have one person that needs to find the other person? Then these people need to have accounts.
Sure, absolutely. But if you hard code 2 login pages, or if you don't want to set up proper accounts properly, if you can demo your idea, it's more important than having an effective, fully fleshed out backend system, right? Fake it, absolutely fake it. So yeah, if you've got something that requires login, screw the login, do the thing that actually matters first. Hack with your users in mind. This sounds really stupid, but sometimes you can get so scoped down into what you're doing that you forget that you've placed the button on the wrong part of the page, maybe headings all over the place. Ensure that your user is able to flow through your application easily. Make it sure it's clear to your user on any given page, this is what you need to do here, and then this is what's going to happen next. I promise, I hate putting loads of text on slides, but this is like one of the big ones. So users spend most of their time on other sites. This means that users prefer your site to work the same way as all the other sites they already know. AKA, copy. Copy the crap out of everything, right? If you're building a music app, who does that really well? Spotify. Okay, what does their UI look like? If you're doing something to do with video, look at Netflix. Why? Don't reinvent the wheel, right? These companies have massive research teams that spend ages researching how customers work. Why not borrow off them, right? Productivity soars when a computer and its users interact at a pace that ensures that neither has to wait on the other. Anyone have a guess as to what that time should be? When you click a button, how quick does the human mind want a response? Anyone? 400. 400. You've got a bit of leeway there. And that's normally fine. I'm guessing a lot of you here, front-end stuff, using React or whatever. React is like a super, it will render straight away. User never notices. You press a button, you get the immediate response. When this comes into real play is when you're waiting for like an API, right? If you're waiting for an API, don't do this. Yeah? When we click buttons, we want instant gratification to know that the button's been clicked. Locking it out is no good. Instead, do something like this. It kind of makes common sense, but it's not hard to do that, but it just improves how your user feels on that journey. Color theory. I love colors. Cool. Induce the right emotion in your users by using appropriate colors for your application. Right? You see this all over the place. I find this image really funny because no one trusts Facebook anymore, and it says trust, dependable, and strength. But like, there are colors associated with different feelings. Like brands have built this kind of up. Like Coca-Cola, we associate with excitement, bold, and youthful. The same with Kellogg's. If you're building an app that kind of fits into one of these, try and think about using a similar color palette. It sounds weird, but your users will be affected by the colors you use in your application. And like, so say I was building a banking app as well. Another thing you can do is look for a space in the color spectrum that's not being used. So if we look at banks, HSBC is red, NatWest is purple, et cetera, not many banks are over in that yellow space. Maybe I can create a brand for my bank that won't be associated with the other banks because I've used a color that's far away from everything else. Yeah? And cheat your color scheme. So coming up with a color scheme that looks good is really hard. There's this one app here that will just solve all of that for you. Oh shit, it came away from my slides, it didn't tab out. Okay, so let's say I've chosen one color. I've got a primary color in mind that I really like. I don't want the tutorial, I know how to use you. Cool, let's say, I don't know, I really want to use black. Cool, I'm gonna lock that in. Oh, it's not gonna let me lock that in. I'm gonna lock it, oh my God. Am I locked in? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's 6. There we go. All right. So I've locked that in. Now if I hit spacebar, it's going to regenerate colors all around it that match with that one. Right? Get a combination of light and darks. Don't go too heavy on your colors. Don't like fill it out with bright colors. Use bright colors minimally. Right? Take this away. Find 5. You're good to go. That's it. You're done. You've spent 1 minute and you've got your color scheme for your app. Let's go back. Is that going to work? Yes. Okay. When you do decide on your color theme, be careful. Green means go. I have seen this so many times, except in red, because your app's in red, or that kind of thing. Yellow's also bad, right? Yellow and red are danger or caution, right? If you try and go to GitHub and you try and delete your repository, it's got a big red box around it because it's a warning section. Don't make users feel concerned about taking the action you want them to take. And a great example of this is user in your face. I don't know if anyone's used this before, but I would like someone to be a volunteer to have a go at this, please. Who is feeling brave? All right, you up the back, come on. Come down. You're going to make a fool of yourself. So this is a website that's been designed incredibly badly intentionally. We're gonna yeah. Tell us how you're feeling as you're going through. So, hi, welcome to the user interface challenge. They're timing you as you do this, okay? You need to fill in the form. simply press go when you're ready to go.
Oh, jeez. Oh, wow. I mean, that's the only clickable thing. Nope.
Look below the green button.
Please click.
Now, if you look, also they've got black text on a blue background. Can you read it? No. Look at this guy. This isn't even the start yet. You haven't started yet. You're not being timed at this point.
I'm so confused.
Yeah, go next page.
Yeah, it's not doing it.
Here,
It's not a clickable object.
but you can still click it.
Yeah, click that. Hey, we're in. All right, go for it.
Jesus. Am I meant to, like, I mean, I'm not going to write my actual...
No,
idea.
just fake it. Fake it till you make it.
Oh, fuck.
Your password needs to be longer.
Password must have at least one numeral. One. Doesn't have at least one letter. One letter of your email has got that. Password can have at least one Cyrillic. What? How do you even... Oh.
All right, you get the idea. I'm not going to make you embarrass yourself anymore. They've also, like, if you get to the terms and conditions part, they've limited the speed of the scroll. So you have to scroll through these T's and C's incredibly slowly, and they're so damn long. You get the idea. Thank you very much to our volunteer. Woo! Cool. Digital thanks. So, create delight. You know, actions that are simple, something that you want your users to do. Sign up, for example, right? They hit submit. I hate that because it makes the button jump as well, right? You can have fun with these things, right? There's nothing to stop you throwing a little animation in there. Fireworks, make us happy, make us smile. Why don't we do this? Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for like delight. I don't know what more to say because I don't want to give you hints as to how to introduce delight because I think that the limits are endless there. Inspiration for design is super important. These sites are my favorite. I'm going to put these slides up. In fact, they already are up at slides.sld.codes. If you want them, you can grab them. So don't worry about copying down these links. Pages.xyz is my favorite. So if you need any inspiration, come here. All these sites are beautiful. They're all beautiful. So yeah, have a look at that.
But can you keep that up there?
What, right now?
I mean, how could we get a better on?
The slides will stay up. Slides.sld.codes. Yeah? Cool. All right. Let's talk about your presentations a little bit. The first and most important question is, what are you trying to solve? Right? Don't tell me we built X. We built X because we saw a problem and we found this as the solution, right? Always start with a problem you're trying to solve. Don't just, I mean, I know you want to build fun things, but try and find a reason as to why you built the fun things. Talk about the value. Monetary value if you can. If it saves people time, work out how much the average income is and how much money you're going to save people. Talk about the next steps. Think about key performance indicators for future iterations of your hack. And tie in your product's branding, right? So we've talked about color schemes and all sorts of stuff. If your app has those color schemes, tie it in with your slides too. Make the slides look the same, right? Same fonts. Avoid text-heavy slides. I don't know if you noticed, but I really have fun with that, especially in the opening presentations. I love it when sponsors go up before me and they put walls of text on their graduate schemes up, right? Because then I come along and I've literally got like a single emoji or one image and that's it. Because you don't want people focusing on your slides, you want people focusing on what you're saying, right? I don't want, if this was real text, you'd be reading through this still and not listening to me. back up your buzzwords. I know, I'm hoping that a lot of you aren't using buzzwords, but if you are, please tell us how you're using them. Don't just say, we use machine learning. Great. Really cool. Okay, what are you giving your machine learning? What's coming out? What is it saving in terms of time, right? What is it doing that's unique? Just saying we use machine learning or blockchain, I hear it all the time, and people don't really use it. It's a cheat. Right, I'm now going to talk about how I made my slides because I've had a lot of interest in it, if people are interested. Cool. So these slides are built using Gatsby, which is a React static site generator. It's just hosted on my domain. What it does is it allows you to use Markdown, which I'm hoping some of you are familiar with, and combine it with JSX. So, for example, let's find that, yeah, so elevate your hack. The slides for this are all here. This is one slide, this is another slide, this is another slide, right? It's broken it down. I can use HTML, I can use React, I can throw whatever I want in here. And what happens is when this builds, I have this config file, and it has this magic thing called Gatsby theme MDX deck. And it takes all the decks I have in that MDX folder, and it generates a slide for each one based off those 3-line divisions that you see. And then I mean, this is actually, I've just built a boilerplate for this today because someone asked for it. So if anyone wants access to this kind of code, I can give it to you. Another thing I do is I have a CDN set up. Anyone know what a CDN is?
Yes.
CDN? Yep, cool. What does it do? Yeah, so a lot of people make the mistake, especially with React project when they're getting started, to import their images and have them locally in the project. When you build that, it can be really slow as you see your image load in really slowly. What you can instead do is let your React app start and separately have your content at a downloadable URL, and then you can host it on like ImageKit is what I'm using. And what that does is it puts a copy of your image all over the world in all sorts of places, right? So when someone loads up my deck, the first thing that happens is it pulls all the images, caches them, and then when you see the image for the first time on the page, it's right there, instead of waiting. I used this style of deck a while back for the first time, and it was a disaster because I'm like a machine gun when I go through slides, and it's really unhelpful if every time these images are loading in super slow. So yeah, all my images are just all over the shop, but they're all just URLs. And then the problem is, if that was the case, when I get to a slide, it would still, okay, so take this image for example, it would still, as soon as it got to the slide, go and download the image. I'd rather have it served from a cache at that point, as opposed to from the server. So instead, I have this super, super hacky thing. Don't do this, kids. So I have a preload function. And what it does is for every image that I give it, it will, on the first page, or the first slide, it will render an empty an image with a height and width of 0. So you don't see it on the slide, but at that point it's already downloaded it, okay? Which means that when I come to the next slide that actually has that image on, it's already got it in the cache, so it doesn't go out and call to the server again. Super, super stupid. And if you look at this code, if I don't supply any images, it does it for all the images in my repository. So there's a lot of, like, there's like hundreds of images that I'm using in these slides. So I have to be super careful. Yeah, but so that's kind of how these slides work. It's super, super cool. People like it much more than they like PowerPoint. They see it like, damn, this guy can code. It's not just like, he's not just a recruiter, and I love that. So yeah, there's my preload function. I also have these weird controls, and that allows me to hit escape at any time, and it drops. So that's not the one. Handle escape. Has anyone ever come across key codes before? They're gross. Don't touch them. Key code for 27 is for escape. If I hit that, it navigates back to the root level of the project. And that is pretty much how it works. If you're also interested, because I can throw in React components, this is just the React component thrown in on this slide. So I've got a template for good and bad that I've set up. This is my good, bad example. Look at this inline styling. I'm gross. Don't do that, kids. Class names are the way to go. And then I just give it some good and some bad components to throw in on those sections, and I just duplicate it over and over again. Like my delight section. Right? If they've clicked the button. Use hooks as well. If you're using React and you're not familiar with hooks, I'm presuming you are actually React devs who started when hooks were a thing to begin with. So that's awesome. Back in the day, you know, it would take a lot longer. Yeah. Anyway, that is pretty much all I have for you. I thought, like, I don't know what to give you. I'm a design engineer. I can talk to you about UX. I can talk to you about presentations. What do you want to hear? What do you want to know? Okay, that's easy. Cool. Yes, questions?
So, if you use Material UI
Mhm.
as a styling component, you can create your own themes where you can choose a primary and a secondary color.
Yep.
How would you translate that from a color picking tool such as Colors that gives you your 5 colors? Which one would you use as primary? Which one would you use as the secondary?
So there are accessibility checks. I'm trying to remember what they're called. That allow you to, I think it's WebAIM. WebAIM color contrast. Okay, so what this tool does is it checks for accessibility between your background color and your foreground color, right? So I would come in here and check that this contrast ratio is passing these tests, right? So if we go to colors and we grab some hex values. Okay, let's take this red one and say that's our, let's say it's a background color. I'm going to make it fail intentionally, and let's take this black. Right, so you can see now it's failing these. And you can understand why. Like, you put it up on these slides, it's really hard to read that text. Yeah? So instead, I would probably try and find one that does work better. So that's probably how I would go about that. So that's now passing all but the AAA. Probably fine for a hack. But yes, these are really good things to keep in mind, absolutely. I don't know if you're also familiar with Lighthouse. I know you are. I taught you. Right. So Lighthouse is a super cool utility that you can find if you inspect the page and you go to audits. Google have this tool that will audit your page for you. And if you run it, it will tell you how good your page is. Mine's going to fail, by the way, on SEO. I know already. But with any luck, it doesn't take very long. And it generates a report. So got a performance score of 100. But if you didn't, it would tell you where you're failing. And you can go and improve your code without really having to do any special auditing yourself. If you have it set up on a... If I go to here, it will also do accessibility, best practices, etc. So that's super cool to know about. You can also use this in Puppeteer. Puppeteer is headless Chrome. So if you want to try and use in, say, JavaScript, you want to navigate to a page and screenshot a page, you can do that without just through code, without ever having to open Chrome. Super cool. So look at that. My accessibility score is 65. That is shocking. I'm now going to fix that for the rest of this hack. Come back tomorrow and audit my page. Cool. That's that answered, I think. Cool. Other questions? Yes?
When you upload your assets to ImageKit, do you have to do that manually? Or
I do at the moment, yes, but they have an API I can hit if I wanted to. I'm not doing it for anything other than my slides at the moment, so it's more like just picking and choosing what I want on them and then hosting them. Yeah. Cool. Awesome. That was great. I managed to do the whole talk in 20 minutes. More questions? No? Yes?
Like, maybe you could go over the, I don't know, I mean, this is just
Sure, go for it.
like the slides, the way you would add maybe a new slide.
The way I would add a new slide. Okay. So I'm not running it locally right now, but let's get that running.
With like a video or a picture or something.
Video. I haven't added video to this yet, but okay, with a picture, we can do that. So I would get an image kit. What are we going to put an image of? We need a meme.
Donald Trump.
No, we need a meme.
Donald Trump isn't.
Scroll up a bit.
keep scrolling.
Keep scrolling, you'll see where to stop.
This one. This one. Did you see this one? Okay. Nice. Actually, I want to copy image URL. Let's grab it. Don't do that to me. Do you know what? I'm just going to screenshot it. Okay, so now I will go into my video library, grab that, drag and drop it in. It'll upload. I get given a URL. I will add it to the list of URLs I have in my project. Okay, memes there, grabbing it. So then we go to the slides. I import that image from that file. I'm going to add it to the preload of images that happens when I hit that first slide. Cool. And then let's throw it on slide 1. Actually, slide 2 so you can see the effect of preloading these.
How does it know it's a different slide?
So that's the 3-line dash that you're seeing there. That's enough for it to know.
Is that like some sort of JSX?
It's not JSX, it's just MDX, which is the weird format that allows you to do it. Yeah. So, with any luck, if we now go to Elevate Your Hack, did I put it in Elevate Your Hack? I didn't save it. Saving is a good idea.
But it's not run locally, like it's not looking at the local files you mentioned. Or it is?
Yeah, it's localized. Just thinking about it. There we go. Look how snappy that image was. Yeah. Love it. Cool. And if we look in the network tab, if I hit that first slide again, you can see it's loading in the images on every page as opposed to just that first one. Right? That's how I'm cheating that system. So there you go. Cool. Any more questions? No? Good. All right. Simple. Oh, these animations. I was asked about these earlier too. I draw these on my iPad in a software called Procreate. I export it to a GIF, throw it on the page. Yeah. See, when you start working for a bank, you can afford stuff like iPads. The Amex is in the bank. Cool. Awesome. That's it. You're free to leave. Oh, crazy. Best hack in the world. It's £8, but it's so much.